Good afternoon, everyone. This is Michael Malik here with an update to the severe weather potential recorded on April 19th, 2023, around 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. A couple of things and important new information to kind of go over regarding the severe weather threat today. First of all, out across portions of Oklahoma and Kansas, we've got that warm, moist air feeding northward, and we've got some agitated cumulus trying to develop down here. It's not really well established at this point because the cap is still holding firmly strong. However, there is an ongoing increase in the severe weather potential across this area. The old outlook from earlier this morning had a slight risk from the Oklahoma City area southward towards portions of North Texas. This enhanced risk actually has been expanded a little bit towards the north and east and a little bit towards the south as well to account for a more substantial damaging wind and large hail threat. We're not going to cover that in today's video, this afternoon's video discussion, because we've already kind of talked about that at length. Now we're getting down to the finer scale details on the severe weather threat in portions of Oklahoma and Kansas. So really what's going on right now is that we have higher moisture that is starting to surge northward as an area of low pressure begins to deepen out here and move towards the northeast off the top of the screen. This will continue to pull the moisture generally further towards the north, and we actually have some pretty strong moisture making it all the way along the dry line north into portions of southeastern Kansas at the moment. And this will continue to surge northward as we get that deeper moisture return and moisture advection to occur with that deepening area of low pressure. And then behind the dry line, we've got, of course, dry air, dew points down there in the 20s and even some in the single digits. So pretty strong moisture setting up, and that is going to increase lift across the area. This little dry line boundary will create some lift, but the important thing to note is that lifting the further south you get is going to be a lot less. And with that, you're not going to have a lot of storm coverage. Further towards the north is where you're going to get more of that linear mode, where you've got that moderate and strong forcing up towards Wichita, Salina, up towards then Kansas City, Des Moines, Salina, can't remember how you pronounce it, but irregardless, you're going to have more forcing and more storms going up, kind of just crowding the overall environment to the north. But further south along that dry line, you've got at least weak to moderate lifting in the atmosphere, and that is going to allow for storms to be more discrete in nature and favor more supercell dynamics rather than linear dynamics. Combine this with the instability across the area. Instability values this afternoon are reaching over 2,500 joules per kilogram of mixed layer CAPE, which is the most representative of the environment that we're looking at right now, with about 2,000 stretching all the way through Salina, all the way up to about Des Moines, Iowa. And this instability is going to play a very significant role as this dry line surges eastward tonight. You notice, of course, behind the dry line, you've got no instability. But in this little corridor, I think the severe weather potential is going to be increased. The Norman sounding, 19Z special Norman sounding, did suggest that although there is an inverted V, which is, again, you've kind of got your, almost like a V type sounding in here, meaning that the LCLs, the condensation levels, or your cloud bases, for lack of better terms, are going to be a lot higher, but we're not expecting storm development necessarily in the afternoon. Storm development will likely occur this evening, where the temperature dew point spread is closer together, meaning your cloud bases are going to be lower towards the ground, favoring tornado production. But you notice that we have a pretty steep area of moisture all the way through about 1 kilometer in the atmosphere before we got that dry air tapering off. But we also notice that we've got a lot of instability up here between our parcel temperature and actual observed temperature. So we've got a lot of instability in the upper levels of the atmosphere. You notice there is that warm nose here, or that elevated mixed layer, suggesting we still have a cap in place. And so we're not going to get storm development, at least right now. But as that front moves through, we are going to be starting to see that lifting increase. And I think combined with the instability at the surface and aloft, we're going to have a pretty substantial environment. And these photographs, too, are not too bad, and they do support the potential for some supercells in an environment like this. So, again, the overall threat for the Oklahoma City metro area, moderate across the board. Again, tornadoes, I wanted to go high on this, but there's just not enough confidence that we're going to get a lot of storms. And so any storm that does develop, though, will pose a significant tornado risk in this area. And there is currently a 5% risk down there. But really, that should be treated as more so if any storm gets going tonight, there's the potential for some potentially intense tornadoes as that low-level jet will increase, backing the low-level flow, increasing storm relative helicity, and, of course, all the other threats associated with supercells, including damaging wind, large hail, and the potential for flooding. So just something to kind of keep in mind as we go throughout the rest of the evening. Certainly have multiple ways of receiving warnings. Of course, we'll be watching everything here, and shall the need arise, we'll go live here to kind of cover the threat into the overnight. All right. So that being said, I do hope you have a great rest of your afternoon and evening. Of course, I am Michael O'Malley. I'll talk to you guys some more over the next several days.